Hello everybody to our little marathon of me recording deck profiles. We have a total of 4 players in the top 8. This is now the second deck profile I'm recording after 300. Second place Green Mai, a deck that has topped here and there a little bit at least. Pelle was the pilot of that deck in Krefeld. He secured a top 16 place, lost the last game and went I think 4-2, not being able to be in the top 8 anymore. This time he made it better. He made it really good. Yeah, so let's talk about this deck. This deck is nasty and this deck shows you, in my opinion, what is wrong about green. Because it has the ability of Rejuvenate. So this deck is undieable in combination with a nice time dormant and with a wall of blockers. And we will come to that. It's a very, not generic leader, but it's a leader that has not much core because it was a pre-release leader. We'll quickly go over the deck list. We have the secret rare of choice, the Son Goku Adventure. I'll come back in a minute on why Pelle decided to play the secret rare over something like Peace Resolution or Porunga or anything else. Then we have 4 times the best super combo in existence, only available in green because you can first draw 2 cards and then warp 1 card. So it's not like first bottom decking or dropping or warping 1, but first drawing 2 cards and then deciding on what you want to drop. We have one of the core cards, we have the second core card, and this is the core by the way, followed by a Unison. This one is a nice 1-drop, and also when you put it under your leader gets a 10k push, which makes your leader a 20k swing suddenly offensively. And if you put it under your leader, you can also use the Rejuvenate skill. This is done through a combination of the leader and the Unison, basically. We'll come to that in a minute, or I will show you it immediately. This Unison, basically, if this card is switched by your leader skill, you draw 1, and then you put 1 card, 1 green Saiyan from your hand or battle area under your leader. So basically, if you swing with leader, you rest your Unison and draw 1 and play 1 green Saiyan from your hand, most likely this dude. And then you tuck it under your leader with the Z Unison ability, restanding and drawing another card. So the combination is pretty nasty. However, you're pretty reliant on the Unison. By the way, the Unison is a blocker. Isn't that nice in a deck that has access to Dormant? I love to see that stuff. Let's continue over the main deck. There are some more Trunkses because your leader also has the ability to restand one of your Trunkses, one of your green cards with Trunks, so even the Unison, and give it double strike as an activate battle. So like all those Trunkses you see here, the crit one, the barrier, who's also blocker by the way, barrier blocker. This one, who has double strike anyway, however you can make him a dual attack, or this one are suddenly dual double attackers for 1 life, and you get the life back with Rejuvenate. Then we have the best of green, we have Father-Son Solidarity, we have the 5-drop Gohan, which has a nice synergy with this deck, because you play him first, and then you swing with your leader, you free play a 1 cost because of your leader, and then you're tucking the 1 cost under your leader with the Z deck, and with this Unison, which immediately triggers the Gohan and he immediately goes active again. Isn't that nice? So you don't need to do anything for this effect to go off, basically. Just play him and swing with leader, and that's it. And then you have a 20k double striker. Oh, and what is that? He is also a blocker. Isn't that nice in a green deck with access to Dormant? Now we have like 3 cards with blocker. One of them can restand through leader. One of the other cards can restand to anything leaving your board. And look at that, we have a green Gohan rare. I didn't want to go to that card, but a Gohan rare. This deck is very generic, so you have space for everything, like for example good 1-drops as well, the anti-D-Magic bullet or the anti-hand destruction bullet here. You have the Broly, also very good generic card to kind of delay your opponent's awakening or kind of like combo out of a super combo easily. And then you have this card. I think Pelle mentioned multiple times that this card was overperforming a lot. Like a lot. At least to me he said that. Because you can play it defensively or offensively. So imagine the board of Mai. Mai has a huge board. You can play 1-drop with your Z Unison every turn. You can play 1-drop for free in rest mode with your leader every turn. So like getting this card out and just comboing one of your 1-drop that still slide there in rest mode, potentially even the barrier one, gives you access to this card. in the same way, it also triggers the Gohan. So imagine you're having a board, you're having one of this in rest mode, right? Your opponent swings into you, you are a green player, so the first thing you do is throwing a dormant. Just don't think, just throw a dormant. And then block with your unison, which is there in active mode. Or don't block even, or block with something different. Don't block with unison, but with something different. Then you're in an activate battle, so you just pay 1 energy to combo this card to play him. He's a 25k blocker. And then he restands, because he's also a blocker, and then you have 2 blockers for the next swing. Isn't that nice and lovely? So chances are very slim that you even lose a life when it's your opponent's turn, and then you can just rejuvenate anyways. Then we have like 1 free negate, pretty good for the deck. We have 2 Boojins, pretty good to deny floodgates in interesting moments. We have 1 charismatic, because why not? We have 4 Dormants, the key card of the deck. And like I mentioned in my 3-1 video, it's very questionable if this card should even be allowed, with green decks having access to more and more and more and more blockers nowadays. And yeah, this card is also, by the way, restanding a blocker if you play a battle card. Isn't that nice? So this is why Pelle decided on that card. Then token negates to make the dormant token negate style perfectly and to play another blocker, which also triggers your secret. 1 Koitsukai, because why not? And 2 Dark Temptation Towers to make your leader swing even bigger with a 25k swing when you're tucking this card under. And that's it. Then Z deck, I think it's pretty generically green. This is the only card really standing out, to be honest. Your board is full all the time, so playing a Bond Piccolo card, which is also dual attack with 20k, is pretty good. And if you're at Bond 5, you can even KO battle card ignoring barrier. Chances are there that the board is just full as hell. So your opponent most likely won't get rid of all the cards. Barrier, blocker, barrier card, 1 drop you can play for free. It's like, your board is crazy wide. Then the side deck, 1 more Koitsukai, because why not? 2 Fated Rivals, in case you're playing against black, right? You need the barrier removal on play, not on swing, because petrification is always a problem. 2 times the Goku, because green hates blue, and we have that nice card. 2 times Urgent 8 Kami. I will come back to that card, why this is a good idea to play at the moment. 2 times Jiren's Survival of the Fittest. More blue hate, because why not? 2 times Bardock Awakened Instinct, to see more cards, to filter more cards. 2 times BMS, also for some specific matchups like TN, for example. And 2 times Hand of the Demon God. I could imagine it being a mirror choice, but also, like I said, we have a dude in our team who is playing Aegis Gogeta, and we need answers for his secret, because his deck only operates on the secret. And if the secret is gone, he will most likely lose the game, with no choice of coming back. Now, Pelle wrote me some nice notes. You already saw that, because I accidentally tapped into that. So, like I said, Tianqin Han and Son Gohan are crazy stupid cards in your opponent's turn to use, especially if you already have a blocker up. So imagine yourself like having this card up, blocking with this card, and then you're playing for 1 Tianqin Han, so he immediately restands. Tien is there as well. You just comboed. You just saw a new card. So this is just crazy, he told me. Then he likes to play the 6-drop Trunks. Partly for the unison removal, but more so because you have for 1 energy a 25k double striker, especially in this deck, which is crazy. And then you can even restand him, so you're going very low on energy, but you get the most value out of this. This is most likely his key card. This is good against Zamasu, for example. And the other secret is here for the restands with the blocker wall, so you don't get through. Let's talk about matchups. First game was against Arinsu, and this is why he sided this card. I talked to Pelle a lot about this card, because Arinsu is one of those leaders, like I said in my 3-1 videos, which has 2 problems. First one problem is removal, second problem is seeing new cards. And whenever this card lies here, your opponent is forced to play around it, because you can't really restand your energy anymore with your leader ability. Red also has this card, it's a Reddit's. And you are kind of forcing Arinsu to play a card which removes that, which is oftentimes not very energy efficient. In the matchup Pelle had, the opponent had to play Broly, the 8-drop, and this is like costing 2 energy for basically not that much outcome. And that way Pelle was able to secure the win pretty easily, he told me. Second match was against Pan Xeno. Black has the problem of not having a good floodgate. The only one is Bardock Tenacious. You can only do it every second turn. Everybody who played black and sees Dormant is like crying in a corner and like shrugging down. His plan is basically to play many cards. So he told me again, I'm always pressing reset, oh god. He told me again that the TN was overperforming against black because he did 25k dual attacker. He don't even need to combo cards in. You're playing the Toa, you're swinging with that. You try to play the Trunks for 1 energy, so you try to play the Gohan. So you're playing for 1 energy, very energy efficient swings. Make the board as wide as possible and not as tall as possible. He was also swinging as playing the Piccolo. You can see here, he also told me that one was overperforming against Pan Xeno as well. Then against SS4 Gogeta, he sided 1 Koitsukai. However, this was one of those nasty matchups. And I think we have to talk about this problem. I don't want to open up a whole debate, but we have to talk about this problem. I always like the French community. I really, really love them. But we have a huge problem when it comes to translations. So we as non-French people are forced to play 50% French cards whenever we go to a French regional. It's just how the rules are. And on the other way around, if you want to play French cards, you need to have translations printed out in your deck box or nearby you that you can show to your opponent in case they don't know cards. Prismatic Gogeta is a deck that got fairly recent support. And maybe some card choices, like I think Pelle told me there was a Dr. Wiro he didn't know, because it's a very old card, the one that basically plays for free if you use him for the discard effect of the revive card. He just didn't know this card. So he was asking for a translation and his opponent couldn't give him a translation, which led to problems like grabbing the smartphone and looking up translations on the smartphone, which is forbidden in the rulebook. So they lost like 10 minutes there or 5 minutes there. And then like something else came up with another card Pelle didn't know by heart. We have to say he's a fairly new player. I think he started BT21. So he didn't know that card as well. And then the judge came by and he gave Pelle the win because the French guy was missing the translations. This is very unfortunate. I think everybody of us hates when this happens. It's a stressful situation for everybody because the French guy obviously felt cheated. I would have been too, because my opponent could just use this against me. However, also the French person is the person responsible for bringing the translations. So I can understand why he was so upset, but it was his own fault in the end, right? I think having the card game in 2 different languages is the main problem, or the root of the problem. I think we can never get rid of that problem. So please just make sure if you're from France or you want to play French cards that you bring your translations. It makes games so much easier, so much nicer. In the end, he was also one of the top 4 players. So luckily, it didn't affect him that much, right? This is like the best thing that could have happened. However, they were sitting like 2 tables across me and I was hearing like the shouting and the blaming afterwards. It was very unpleasant to watch. It was very hurtful to watch because we are a very small community and seeing 2 people fight against each other because one felt cheated because he got the loss because of missing translations. It was just not nice, so please let's not just do it anymore. French people, please bring the translations printed out in a nice way. You can see it on the stream. My opponent in round 4, he had like printed out cards. It was so easy to read through them. Didn't affect timing, so please do that in the future. It's also not that hard to do, like having a like white printer or something. You're just not allowed to show it in your smartphone. That is not allowed because you could do something else on the smartphone, for example looking up other cards, etc, etc. Round 4 was against Daimaku. As you can see, green is very good at hating blue with this card and with this card and with this card, especially against Daimaku. And then we have this card and we have this card in case of turning the tide, and Pelle told me this was a pretty easy matchup because chances were so favored for him. There was nothing Marco could really do, one of our teammates. And then the last round was on stream against Nova. Pelle told me that he made one misplay where he didn't choose the 4-drop Sin to getting KO'd. But the Trunks counter card, I don't think that it mattered that much, to be honest. I was asking Giovanni and Pelle, we later went together burger eating and stuff. And I asked them, and when time was called, Pelle just had 2 cards in his hand, in his deck. So Giovanni would have won that anyway. Both boards were huge. Both were on 4 or 5 lives or 3 lives. So even if he would have hit the 4-drop Sin, Giovanni was responding with a Flying Nimbus anyway. I don't see Pelle doing much more, to be honest here. But he told me that this was a misplay. Maybe that would have changed something. So I wanted to give that out to you. So that's it from the My Deck profile. If you have any more questions, just put it in the comments. I will forward it to Pelle, or Pelle might respond to that directly. He got the 2nd place. I'm so happy for him because he's really playing this deck every week and he's really trying to give his best. And I feel like this deck might be a problem in the future, especially with the huge wall of blockers and Dormant being accessible. So maybe we need to see a hit in the future. However, if people don't pick up on this deck, I think it will never happen. So yeah, this was it. See you. Bye bye.